a lot of Mexicans don't like him. A lot of Mexicans don't like him. I go to Mexico a lot. They don't like him. They like us.
Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga kicked off the week with a tense, fiery face-off that was short but packed with drama. Honestly, it didn't last long, just a brief but intense moment between the pair as they began their media rounds. If you've been keeping up with the back-and-forth jabs between them, then you're not missing a beat here. But surprisingly, this time around, Canelo was a bit more reserved, staying unusually quiet. Could it be the calm before the storm? Meanwhile, Berlanga's energy seemed ready to explode as he carried on the trash talk from their previous exchanges. Looks like we're in for an electrifying showdown. As the team of both fighters made their way down a buzzing hallway in Las Vegas, Edgar Berlanga couldn't resist stepping up to Canelo Alvarez for a little face-to-face action. Now let's be real. We all know that when it comes to size, Berlanga has the upper hand. And sure enough, that was clear when he strolled right up to Canelo. But surprisingly, this wasn't about picking a fight or starting any chaos. Nope, Berlanga knew exactly what he was doing. His little move wasn't out of bad intentions. It was pure showmanship. The guy was just stirring the pot, giving his fans something to gossip about, and adding a bit of extra flair to the lead-up. After all, what's fight week without a bit of drama? Berlanga, who famously called himself the chosen one before stepping into the ring, now finds himself in the perfect spot to prove he's truly deserving of that title. With his boxing career heating up, it's the ideal moment for him to show the world and his growing fan base that he lives up to the name. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, who started his career fighting lesser-known opponents in Mexico, has become a dominant force in boxing. Despite being closer to retirement than his prime, Canelo isn't showing any signs of giving up his crown. As these two prepare to face off, the anticipation is seriously building.
No, I'm from New York, so I was just inviting him to my, like, no freaky stuff, you know, but I felt disrespected, so I disrespected him back.
It's shaping up to be a clash of every boxing element you can imagine. A true test of boxing IQ, power, strength, and technique. But beyond the technicalities, this showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga is about national pride. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Things have already reached a fever pitch, with Canelo confidently predicting something he hasn't promised in quite some time. A knockout, within 8 rounds no less. Of course, Berlanga wasn't about to let that slide. He quickly reminded everyone that Canelo made a similar claim before his last fight, but ended up winning by decision instead of the knockout he'd promised. Not one to be outdone, Berlanga went on to make his own bold prediction, vowing to beat Canelo within the first 6 rounds. This has Mexican fans buzzing, while Puerto Rican supporters are rallying behind their fighter, bringing a whole new level of intensity to this already heated rivalry. With the big fight set for September 14th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Berlanga's camp is nothing but optimistic. His trainer, Mark Ferrate, shared his confidence in an interview, revealing that their strategy for taking down Canelo goes far beyond his recent bouts. They've been analyzing every fight Canelo's ever had, crafting a game plan that taps into his entire career. For Berlanga's team, the goal is simple. Take Canelo down and prove that Edgar Berlanga truly is the future of boxing. Mark Ferrate didn't hold back when discussing their preparation for the upcoming bout against Canelo Alvarez. He made it clear that anyone focusing solely on Canelo's last few fights is making a rookie mistake. According to Ferrate, the real key to success lies in understanding Canelo's entire career. Because, as he pointed out, you never truly know what version of Canelo will show up on fight night.
To put on a great show, and let's see what happens.
Ferrate has been meticulously studying Canelo's work over the years, ensuring Berlanga is ready for any curveball the Mexican superstar might throw. He emphasized that Canelo's ability to adapt and switch up his tactics makes him a formidable opponent. But Berlanga's camp is fully aware of this. They've gone through every trick in the book to make sure their fighter is prepared for whatever comes his way. After all, Ferrate knows his fighter well. He's the one who turned Berlanga pro and has been guiding his journey ever since, despite a brief separation. As for Canelo's bold prediction of knocking Berlanga out within 8 rounds, Ferrate and Berlanga are far from convinced. They've heard similar claims before, and Canelo hasn't exactly been delivering on them in recent bouts. In fact, the last time Canelo made such a promise was during his fight with Jaime Munguia, and yet it ended up going the distance. Berlanga's camp is treating Canelo's words as just that, words. They're not underestimating his abilities, But they aren't losing sleep over his knockout talk either.
You going to be going to look for the knockout?
No, la verdad es que me agrada eso, ¿no? Al final de cuentas, siempre ganar por nocaut es muy bonito.
Remember Canelo Alvarez made his grand entrance at Las Vegas's T-Mobile Arena for the Cinco de Mayo weekend showdown? His opponent, the 27-year-old Jaime Munguia, was stepping into the biggest and toughest fight of his career. But despite the significant challenge, the focus of the boxing world seemed to be elsewhere. Many had dismissed Munguia, eyeing David Benavidez as the more exciting challenger. Still, Munguia, unbeaten and improving with each fight, was ready to face the veteran and potentially dethrone the Mexican boxing king. As always, Canelo was brimming with confidence. He acknowledged the talks around his recent performances, 4 fights without a knockout, and the whispers that he might be past his prime. But he wasn't fazed. Speaking to the press after arriving at the MGM Grand, Alvarez made it clear that he had no plans of letting this fight go the distance. He was coming for a knockout, and he was going to do it before the 8th round. His eyes were on the prize, all 4 belts, and making history as the first time 2 Mexicans fought for such an honor. The crowd buzzed with excitement, though one fan holding a sign for Benavidez didn't go unnoticed. Even though Canelo acknowledged the sign, he quickly turned the focus back to Munguia, insisting the younger fighter deserved the respect he's earned. Yet the whispers about Benavidez continued to linger in the background. After all, to many, that's the fight they really wanted to see. Despite all the bravado, Canelo's past performances hung like a shadow. He had promised knockouts before, against Yermel Charlo last year, and again with Gennady Golovkin, but had failed to deliver. The pressure was on, and Canelo seemed well aware of it. He knew his fans wanted more than just a victory. They craved a statement. He needed to put Munguia away, but deep down it was clear that what he truly needed was to remind the world why he's still the king of the ring. With fight week in full swing and the tension between the 2 fighters building, all eyes were on Canelo to see if he could back up his words and deliver the knockout he's been promising. As the fight approaches, one thing is for sure. Whether or not he gets that KO, the legacy of Canelo Alvarez is on the line. The knock on Edgar Berlanga is that his explosive run of 16 first-round knockouts came to an abrupt end once he stepped up his competition. Still, with his current mandatory status for Canelo Alvarez's title and being ranked #1 with the WBA, there's no turning back now, and the buzz is louder than ever. Eddie Hearn, his promoter, has been fueling the hype, reminding everyone that Berlanga's next move is inevitable. According to Hearn, it's not a matter of if, but when Berlanga faces Canelo. He made it clear that Puerto Rico versus Mexico could be one of the biggest boxing events in recent history. While Berlanga is still sharpening his skills, Hearn insists that if the call to fight Canelo came now, Berlanga wouldn't hesitate. He's not the type to back down, or worse, try to play it safe for 12 rounds. He's ready to make it a fight. While Berlanga may have called out Canelo, many still expect him to take on another opponent before facing the Mexican champion. But Hearn promises that, when the fight happens, Berlanga will give Canelo a serious run for his money, and it won't be the walk in the park some might assume. He's even gone as far as to claim that Berlanga is the best fight Canelo could take right now. Aside from David Benavidez, Hearn's reasoning is clear. Who else does Canelo have lined up? With Benavidez stepping up to light heavyweight, Hearn believes Berlanga is the best option and has the potential to turn their match into a massive event. Canelo, on the other hand, isn't one to shy away from a challenge. Known for taking on all comers, Alvarez doesn't duck anyone. But the real question on everyone's mind is whether Berlanga can actually beat Canelo. Hearn might have his doubts, but in boxing, anything is possible. Canelo's track record speaks for itself, with 61 wins and 39 knockouts, including decision wins over fighters like Gennady Golovkin and Jaime Munguia. Still, Canelo is no stranger to big punchers, and Berlanga, despite being younger and less experienced, is certainly going to bring the heat when the bell rings.
Boom, 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 bang. Boom, 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 bang.
Mark your calendars for Saturday, September 14th. The T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada will play host to the latest chapter in the Mexico versus Puerto Rico boxing rivalry. Canelo Alvarez will defend his super middleweight title for the 8th time, holding the WBC, WBA, WBO, and the ring belts. While the International Boxing Federation stripped Canelo of his title for opting to fight Berlanga over William Skull, the stakes for this fight remain sky high. Both fighters are eager to prove themselves, but Canelo, who has been ruling the super middleweight division for years, won't be going down without a fight. Edgar Berlanga's undefeated record, boasting 22 wins and 17 knockouts, shows he's no slouch. But facing Canelo on the big stage is a whole different ballgame. Meanwhile, in the co-main event, veteran fighter Arislandi Lara will defend his WBA middleweight title against Danny Garcia. And let's not forget Caleb Plant, who will be facing Trevor McCumbee for the WBA interim super middleweight title. Canelo's journey through the super middleweight ranks has been nothing short of dominant. He secured his WBA and WBC belts by defeating Callum Smith in 2020, then added the WBO by stopping Billy Joe Saunders in 2021. Later that year, he took the IBF from Caleb Plant to become the undisputed champion. David Benavidez, who once held the WBC belt, lost it in 2017 and 2019 due to cocaine issues and missing weight, respectively. While some say Benavidez is still a looming challenge, Canelo's camp isn't concerned for now. Is Berlanga the hardest puncher Canelo has faced? Time will tell, but for now, Alvarez remains focused on doing his best when the fight arrives. With Berlanga stepping up for his first main event in pay-per-view bout, and Canelo looking to defend his titles and his legacy, boxing fans are in for a treat on September 14th. Hit the subscribe button for more boxing updates. Thanks for watching.